So if you're listening to the show, you might know that I have been going through shit lately. And this really made me think that I would love to offer my group program, the Urban Cleanse group program. But this time I am part of the group. I would like to go back to losing the weight that I gained these past couple of years. And I would like to feel better in my own skin. And I know a lot of you do too. And I do know that my program does work if I only did it myself. So if you'd like to join, please go on www.Organilicious.ch, click on the Urban Cleanse button and join us. It'll be loads of fun. We'll do it together. I will be your support, your knowledge, as well as your team member. I'm looking forward to see you there. Thanks a lot. Turn on your radio voice.
It's been a while. Okay. Are we recording?
Yes.
We are, huh?
Always.
3, 2, 1, go. Welcome to the So Frickin Healthy podcast. I'm George, Donna's husband, and I shouldn't even be here, so I'm out of here. Bye.
So can you not be German or Swiss? So Frickin Healthy podcast.
Hey.
Hey, Megan. How's it going?
Well, I don't really feel like recording today. At all.
I'm sure our listeners are so happy to know that we're already tired on the 3rd episode, but I feel the same.
Yeah? Did you sleep well?
Not necessarily. How about you?
No. I had a beer, actually just half a beer last night before bed, and then I had to wake up I woke up at the normal time, but usually my wake up at the normal time, I get like an hour and a half of just like letting my body wake up and my brain wake up. But this morning I had a meeting at 7:00 in town.
Oof,
so
rough.
I had to... And I've been going nonstop since then, so I feel a little tired.
Oh, that makes sense.
But that's what we're going to talk about today, right?
Let's
Sleep?
do it. Let's do it. I think sleep is such an underrated topic. You know, I noticed something really funny the other day, and I actually shared it with my clients because I was like, they need to know. Because one of the topics that we always talk about, one of the first topics, and they're so disappointed when we talk about that as the first topic, because they're like, well, I'm going to work on my nutrition. And I'm like, sleep. And so I told them, I was like, I had I don't know why, but I had just a bad night's sleep. I'm usually such a geek. I'm like, between 9:30 and 10:30, I'm physically in bed. And the other night, I don't know what happened. Mm-hmm. I don't even remember when I went to sleep, but I get second wind. If I am awake past like 10:30, I get second wind. Mm-hmm. And especially if I have something to eat, like at the later hours. Long story short, I had a bad night's sleep. And I noticed from the moment that I woke up, I noticed that I can't stop eating. I just ate. Mm-hmm. Not like I ate the house down as if I was on my period. And, when I'm on my period, it's like, it's okay. Because I'm like, well, I'm hormonal. Move away, guys. Like, just let me clear the house. But it was not even close, and I just went, and I could not stop eating. And I felt full and I couldn't stop eating. And so I just shared it with them because I was like, look, guys, I know that you don't like talking about sleep and I'm telling you to do certain things. And you're like, well, screw that. I'm just going to stick to this menu plan or whatever. But at the end of the day, look at how big of a difference it makes. Yeah. And so, I love that we're talking about that now, honestly, because I think it's such an important topic to understand.
Yeah. I mean, what you're explaining harkens back to the days of drunken weekends in college where I'm drinking too much and in the morning all you want to eat is McDonald's hash brown, like 10 of them.
The greasier the better.
Yeah. But and what I found is that like even later now, I mean now I don't drink at all, like half a beer I'm done, but still it's like that pit in your stomach void in the morning if I don't have enough sleep. So I get the same feeling, and I'm wondering if that's partially because when you are drinking, your sleep is not as deep. So even if you go to sleep and you've been drinking and you have alcohol in your system and you sleep 10 hours, you're not really sleeping 10 hours with good quality sleep versus not drinking and sleeping only like 4 or 5 hours. Like also when I'm traveling internationally, right? And my system's all messed up. then it's like, yeah, I feel like I have a hangover and I don't have a hangover. And I'm just like, fuck, I have a hangover and I didn't even get to drink. Like,
what a ripoff.
Sucks.
I know, it's so true.
Yeah.
But it is true. It's there is a lot of misconception about alcohol kind of helping us fall asleep faster. You drink, or you're drunk, even better, and you just pass out. And so you think like, I need to sleep tonight. I'm going to just drink my ass off. And then you wake up and you're not well slept. So I think the whole that whole kind of story with alcohol in general, I have nothing against alcohol per se. I just think, just like everything else, it needs to be a recreational drug. But at the end of the day, we can't expect to sleep well when we had alcohol in our system. Like, it just, and of course, the lighter weight we are. I don't know about you, but I could drink anyone under the table when I was like college years and stuff. I was like, I don't know where it went and how I did it. My mom's the same still. But now I smell beer and I'm like, oh my God, I'm tipsy. Ha ha ha. It's just the funniest thing. But I can't drink anymore. I just became such a wuss about alcohol. But I think, so depending on, of course, on how much you can do. But at the end of the day, even if you have high tolerance to alcohol, your quality of sleep is going to get damaged by just having it in your system.
Have you ever had the effect, the flying in the morning effect, where you're the night before you have to go travel somewhere? And you have to catch a plane, not like get in your car and go somewhere where you can affect, but have to catch a plane. And you 3 o'clock, you wake up, 4 o'clock, you wake up, 5 o'clock, you wake up. And it's like, oh, yeah, this is when I need my sleep. And every single time I travel using a plane, right? So not a train, not anything else, but if it's a plane, because I feel like, you don't have control. Like, if you don't get there, you just don't go. And I think that kind of goes into the stress category of effect on sleep. But do you have that same thing where you all morning, and then you finally okay, I guess I'll just get up now because it's so close, and then you don't want to oversleep your alarm? Yeah. What about you?
I do. I have that. I don't know. I can't say that it's just with flights. I sometimes will have it when I'm just super nervous about just waking up on time, making it somewhere on time. But I get maybe it is just flights. Maybe I never noticed that it's just flights. But yeah, I definitely do. I hate it. Because it's such a pain. Just like you said, you're like, I just need my sleep now. And the alarm is set, and there's probably 3 alarm sets. And you're still kind of like, just sleep, man. Sleep. I think we'll keep sleep to another podcast, because another episode, because it is definitely a huge topic on its own, and very intertwined with stress, with sleep. Sorry, what did I say? Should I do that again? You
said sleep. Yeah. Okay, but no, we'll keep it in. That's great. You just fucked it up. So you meant stress.
I got the first fuck up. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe you want to start that. So we'll keep stress to another episode. Yeah.
We will definitely. I think that stress and sleep is so intertwined. We'll definitely keep stress to another episode, because we could probably both talk for 3 hours about stress. So it is intertwined, and it is something to understand. Yeah, definitely the different types of stress, but also the effect of it on sleep. But if I can say just one thing about it, there's and this is something that I practice and something that I kind of guide my clients as well, is our brain loops thoughts for a reason. Right? So basically what happens in our brain is that it knows that the prefrontal cortex is the executive decision kind of part of the brain, but it also takes so much energy from the brain, from the body and the brain, to actually activate that part of the brain. So what it does on a kind of regular basis, when it doesn't need to, run and hide from a saber-toothed tiger, is it activates the some ganglia. I don't remember the exact name, but this part of the brain right here, where it's just on a loop. And it's on a loop, normally like on a negative loop, because 70% of our thoughts are negative, unfortunately. But it's on a loop. So we're kind of stuck on this. Think about something that happened to you in 4th frickin' grade, and you're all of a sudden thinking about it in the middle of the night and you can't fall asleep, right? Or you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, that person, I hate that person, and I haven't seen them in 25 years. Or, just kind of like all these thoughts. And what's really important to understand is that if you just take, not your phone, we'll talk about the phone in a bit as well, but if you take just a notebook or a piece of paper and write down whatever is on your mind while you're trying to fall asleep, either in the middle of the night or just in the evening, it actually allows the brain to think like, okay, cool, I have downloaded and backed up this information. And now I'm safe. I can go to sleep, I can relax about it because I can find it. And so even if the light is off, sometimes I'll just write, some nights I'll lay there and be like, I'm fucking tired. Just go to sleep. That's all I'm thinking about. So that's all I'm writing. And then the next morning it's freaking hieroglyphics. Like it's not, you can't read it, right? Because I didn't turn on the light because I didn't want to wake my husband up. But it works because the brain's like, okay, I got it. Like it's down, it's fine. And so that's a really cool trick. I don't know if do you use that? What do you do when you're like unable to fall asleep?
I typically 99 nights out of 100, I do not have that problem. And my husband freaking hates me for it. Like,
many people hate you right now.
Yeah. So we have a joke. It's like, when I get into bed, he has about 20 seconds to cuddle with me once my head hits the pillow. Because it's like my head's hit the pillow, I'm countdown has started, initiated, right? So when I do have that, where like for example, I back in the day in my 2016, 2017 at work, I could tell more I was angry or like I had an argument with somebody, or of course, or like if my husband and I have an argument, typically happens at bedtime, which is great, then I won't fall asleep. That's also pretty rare, but these are like, they're so rare, it stands out to me, right? That I don't fall asleep. And typically if I have like a lot of stuff going on, it could be negative or positive, like because I'm starting my own business, I have so many things to think about right now. And so it's actually in a positive way. I'm thinking, about this, about that, and about this. And I do have a journal, like if I know that I'm thinking all these things, even before I go to sleep, I've got my journal and I'm just scribbling out like 3 or 4 pages of things coming out of my head. And then I go to sleep. And the last resort is really putting on a meditation, relaxation from like Headspace or whatever, where they tell you, okay, let's relax the toes, let's relax your calves, all the way up your body. And typically I don't make it to the top. But my average falling asleep time is about 7 minutes from,
Okay. So you actually know that, because I know that you use also kind of like gadgets and stuff to monitor your sleep, right?
Yeah. So if I didn't use gadgets, my husband has told me before that literally like in minutes, he can hear me that deep breath, the deep breathing. So even with no gadgets, he's still awake and timing me going, yeah, okay, she's asleep now. It's been 3 minutes.
You don't need those gadgets.
No.
I have a love-hate relationship with these gadgets. Okay. Mm-hmm. Because on the one hand, they're great because they monitor your sleep. So you're able to know what your patterns are. You're able to know a lot of things, actually. I mean, if you're reaching REM stage or not, which is super important. Mm-hmm. If you're waking up in the middle of the night, which sometimes we don't notice, but we wake up super tired. And when you check, you actually realize, okay, wow, I was literally up most of the night, and that makes sense. But at the same time, I personally cannot have any electronics in the bedroom, and I'm one of those freaks who turns on, like, unplugs the Wi-Fi. Not everyone has to be as crazy as Danna, please, but I really feel a difference. I really do feel a difference. Like if my husband, he hardly does it anymore, but like if he has to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and he doesn't want to wake up the whole house, he'll bring his phone next to bed. And I realized that my sleep is really just terrible. And his phone is on airplane mode, right? It's not even activated or anything. And so for me, I realized that I was I always had crappy sleep until like a few years ago, but I noticed that I'm really sensitive to that. And really interesting. I don't know if you've heard this about this study, but maybe about 2 or 3, I don't know, it's a blur because of COVID, but like probably about 2 or 3 years ago, probably just before COVID, they did this really interesting experiment, study, what do you want to call it? I don't know, where they took some people, right, a study group, and they, of course, connected their heads to electrodes and whatnot. And then they took away their phone. And what they did was they put them down, they sat them down in front of a desk, and the tester came in and took their own phone, right? So the tester comes in with his own phone or her own phone and puts it upside down on the table. Just like we do, like, you know, when we're sitting out, you know, we're having dinner with friends and we're like, I respect you, so I put the phone upside down, but it's still going to be on the table because I don't respect you that much. That type of thing. But they did that, and they actually noticed that there was fireworks in their brain, and it wasn't even their own phone, right? So what they gathered a lot of information from that, and they realized that the actual energy that the phone kind of extracts is affecting our brain waves. That was number one. Number two was the fact that, you know that it's there. So you're immediately like, think of how many times, I don't know, you're having a conversation with your husband or your friends or whatever, and someone grabs their phone. How many seconds, milliseconds does it take you to go like, where's my phone? Like, I need to check my phone as well. You know what I mean? Do you have that? That like, do you feel that sometimes that you're like, oh, antsy in the pantsy, like they have their phone, I need to grab mine?
That's more my husband. If I didn't have my phone, I would be very happy. Again, I think I'm very atypical in this respects. I mean, I think the where's my phone thing is like if I'm in a public place and now I don't know where my phone is, but like around the house, I'm always the one going, just put it down. Just put it down. Like, so again, I think I'm a little atypical there. But yes, I understand the idea of, oh gosh, yeah, where is my phone just from seeing somebody's phone?
I do notice this also, like, and a lot of people do say it as well, you know, when you have the phone next to bed and you go to sleep, first thing you do if you wake up in the middle of the night, or first thing you do when you wake up in the morning, which is also pretty crappy, right? Is immediately, you don't even, there's no good morning to the husband. There's no like nothing. You're just kind of like smack. And immediately you have this phone in front of your face and that light in front of your face, and you're immediately checking your emails and you're immediately like working, right? So you're immediately exhausting your own brain and your eyes and everything. So, I mean, I feel like on the one hand, I want to try and kind of monitor my sleep, but on the other hand, I'm like, I can't have this phone on the bed next to me. It's like blasphemy, man.
I understand the point. It's not as much of a problem for me, but I think that there are now solutions. I know that they have mats that you can put under, I think, Withings by Nokia. They have this the scale that measures everything and gives you the temperature. I mean, everything. But they have like a mat that goes under the bed. And I don't know if you have to have that connected directly to the phone. I don't think so. I think it's connected Wi-Fi. So that might be like a solution. But still, you do have, it has Wi-Fi, right? So you still have the Wi-Fi going on, but you don't necessarily have the urge or let's say the opportunity to connect to your phone on the side of your bed. Mine is connected to my watch. And so I use the app called Pillow. I've been using that forever. And when I'm ready to go to bed, because I use a lot of things with my app. Like, so I have an iPhone. So I use these scheduled summaries, right? So like I have an evening scheduled summary of notifications that's lumped together. So I don't scroll. I can just like kind of keep it there. But I also have like, the bedtime routine set up on my phone where it goes into do not disturb mode at 9 p.m. And so I have to do a lot more to like get into both my phone and my watch after 9. I mean, a lot more. I have to like scroll my watch and I have to do this. And And so when I'm ready to lay down and go to sleep, and by the way, it's not the only thing I do when I go to sleep. I also use a lumen, which we'll talk about, which is measuring your CO2 and your metabolism. So I'm breathing like Darth Vader, and then I let that sit down, and then I'm like in my watch and starting pillow, and I'm like, do I want to do a micro experiment tonight and record my sounds that are coming? So I think for me, all of that additional information is extremely informative, but it's also a little scary because when I listen to myself back overnight and I have like 150 recordings, so what it does is it records as soon as a sound is being made. And I think like right here, I'm going to I'll cut in some of my snoring. Okay, so the snoring you can hear was like, this kind of variation. It's not like that horrible like man snore, and I say that with all love to men because my husband doesn't snore at all. But it's like, I feel like, is my airway like clogged? So like these are the types of things I just don't know unless you're recording yourself when you're sleeping. So yeah. Sorry, I got off on a little tangent with the gadgets, but yeah,
I knew you would. I know you're a gadget freak, and that's why it's so interesting to me, because on the one hand, I love gadgets as well, but I know that you're like, okay, for our listeners, when I met Megan, which was not a long time ago, I'm just a scatterbrain. I'm like doing things ad hoc. I'm like, I have a little notebook. Everything is written down by hand in my plate. Like I can't deal with relying on technology. And Megan just introduced me like to 70 applications and everything is organized and everything is in a schedule. And so it really doesn't surprise me that you have like 17 gadgets and apps just to go to sleep. Totally cool. And
Yeah.
and it's, it's not a bad thing. That's what I'm saying. That's why I have this, love-hate relationship. I want to do it. I want to monitor.
Yeah.
I want to know what my quality of sleep is. But I'm like, but if my quality of sleep is going to get damaged because of these apps, these gadgets next to me, then how is that actually giving me the right information? So that's where I wonder if most people actually, track their sleep or not, and what they discover.
That's an interesting point because, I can only track my sleep if I'm wearing my Apple Watch, right? And I notice, and I don't track my sleep every night. It's like when I remember, maybe I'll track my sleep, or when I'm wearing my watch, I'll track my sleep. But what's interesting about that is I feel that when I don't wear my watch at night, I sleep better as well. Like I feel like I still like wake up at 5:55, 5 minutes before my alarm. You know what I mean? Always I'm waking up before my alarm. But yeah, somehow the watch, I feel like when I take my watch off, I've like mentally said, it's okay if I sleep in. I don't need to worry about things, because I usually wear my watch like your husband, putting his phone next to the bed so he doesn't wake you up. That's one of the things I love about my watch, because I wake up way before my husband, and it's just like giving me this tiny little gentle nudge. No alarms are going off, and I can just get up, my husband, sneak out, and nobody knows and husband doesn't know I'm gone. Yeah, I always also wonder, when it comes to anything like this as well, with all the different environmental factors that go into your health and well-being, everything is a mini experiment that you can do one time. Because I could eat exactly the same thing, do exactly the same thing, like an entire day, and that night I could sleep way different than the next night because my hormones have shifted, or because the barometric pressure outside is low, or you know what I mean? So,
or the moon or the stars, honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah.
That's true.
But the data part is very interesting, and I love, what I love? I love the fact that technology is actually paying attention to sleep quality,
That's true.
in that there are so many things that, because I feel like as a society, we are now paying attention more to sleep and the impacts of sleep, like what you were talking about at the beginning, the impact of sleep on your food decisions. So maybe you could go into a little bit more about the hormones and stuff, because you were talking about that before we were recording, about like what's going on when we're tired and why the hell are we eating so much?
So that's exactly the problem. When we're tired, when we haven't slept well, there's a hormone in our body that is responsible to tell us when we're full, right? To tell us when we've eaten enough. We usually anyways ignore it because we're not mindfully eating. Again, that's another topic for another episode. But at the end of the day, eventually you'll sit there going like, oh my God, I'm so full, like just holding your belly and burping. And so something tells us when we've eaten enough. And when we're tired, basically that hormone is just asleep. It's taking a nap because we should take a nap. And so our body just kind of goes like, all right, well, look, I need energy. Now, especially as women and caregivers and everything like that, we're like, what is it called? Like we're
hardwired?
Hardwired or manufactured to just keep going. Right? Especially if you're like us, Megan and I, like we have fire up our butts and we're just nonstop until we drop, So I'm like 6 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock in the evening, literally nonstop. And then at 6, I'm like, guys, fuck off. I need my rest now. I cannot speak to you. Just go away. This is me. I'm like, yay, people, yay, talking, yay. And then like, do not talk to me now. It's 6 o'clock. And so, we're the type of people who, when we're tired, we'll just continue. We'll keep going, right? So we'll look for something else to do and we just grab something. We'll just grab some cookies or grab some whatever, a piece of whatever it may be, right? And we're just kind of munching while we go along. And so again, there's zero mindful eating because we're tired. So we're a bit delayed, but we need to get shit done, right? So we're still eating. We're eating even less mindfully. We're not feeling when we're full, and we're eating the things that on the one hand will give us energy because it's sugar and it's empty carbs. It's a very quick energy and insulin pitch. But at the end of the day, that energy will go just as fast. You'll get hungrier much quicker than having complex carbs and maybe natural sugars or like fruit and nuts and things like that. And then what happens is that we're constantly eating. Our insulin level is now completely out of whack because we're just nonstop eating. We have zero break between one bite and the other. We're eating the wrong things. We can't feel when we're full. And so it's just kind of like a complete, disaster. Because if we're trying to at least keep somewhat of a healthy lifestyle, but we're not sleeping well enough, we'll be battling with our weight. We'll be battling with our health. Everything that is happening just because we're not putting a stress on properly going to sleep, making sure that we get quality sleep, we're kind of screwing up everything along the way. And we're, at the end of the day, also blaming our own bodies for it, right? Because we're like, that's all we have to do is just to blame our bodies or just to speak ill about ourselves. I find that it's really interesting. And what's interesting is that if you notice it, and again, I'll probably say this with every episode, just give yourself grace, right? You know that you haven't slept well. Don't try to intermittent frickin' fast. Don't try to like eat salad all day. Don't do it. Of course, try to give your body like better energy. Don't just eat bread and crackers and Oreo cookies all day. That's not going to help. But at the end of the day, if you feel that you're eating more and if you feel that you're kind of like an empty pit and that you need that energy, if you can't take a nap, then just give yourself grace. Okay. And I think that at the same time, going to sleep at the right time. So again, we have shit to do. And then 10 o'clock comes along, 9:30, 10 o'clock comes along and we're tired. We're freaking tired. We're ready to go to sleep. But then I don't know, definitely for people with kids, they're like, or people who like the partner is working late and now you want to spend time with them. And so you're like, I'm just going to sit there and watch Netflix. And you're dead tired. And so instead of going to sleep, you'll just grab that, midnight snack. I call it midnight, but I'm never up at midnight. So grab that midnight snack, which gives you second wind. So now you ate something that's not going to help your quality of sleep. Now you have second wind, so you're not going to go to sleep on time. and you're just shooting yourself in the leg, like both legs probably. I think it's such an interesting topic and such an interesting kind of relatively easy. Okay, disclaimer. Yes, when you're missing certain nutrients, you might have a chronic problem with sleep, falling asleep, quality of sleep. Okay, I found out, for example, that my tryptophan was almost not existing. Most of my amino acids, but like the tryptophan. And as we know, especially Americans, turkey time, like tryptophan, it's basically an amino acid that naturally triggers melatonin. And if we don't have enough of it, we're unable to trigger the melatonin, which helps us fall asleep. If you're low on certain nutrients, if you're low, even like usually people who are low on iron, although we're super tired, we have a hard time getting quality sleep. So there's a lot. I'm not going to go into every single one of them, but you do want to check. If you do notice that what we're kind of talking about doesn't necessarily help and doesn't make a difference with your quality of sleep, it's definitely worth going and investigating a little bit deeper with just, blood test.
Yeah, something you said there about also eating late also triggers your digestive system, right? So really you should stop eating around 3 hours before you want to sleep, because now instead of sleeping, your body's still working and not as efficiently, right? Because of your circadian rhythms. So the food that you've just digested is not being, we're not using it. It's basically energy for nothing, because you're going to sleep and you just don't need so much energy while you're sleeping. But that's something I've noticed in the past when I have a really large meal, even if I have a large meal earlier, but it's like a big meal, like you go out for dinner, you have your appetizers, you have your main and your dessert and, something. So heavy meals for me definitely impact my sleep, regardless of whether I have alcohol or not. But also that late night snack so I try to stop eating by 7 p.m. because I would like to be asleep or in bed by 10 is kind of my goal, right? It doesn't always happen, but I notice then that the quality of sleep is different. And also, speaking of intermittent fasting, it also gives your body into a state of fat burning overnight, right? A little bit easier, and gives your gut the rest that it needs to have overnight. Because I think the misconception of eating every 2 or 3 hours is like, oh my goodness, it's like somebody in constant motion, and it's not always the best thing for everybody. Of course, maybe some people need to eat because of conditions and symptoms or diseases, but the average person who has a normal digestive and metabolism doesn't need to eat so often. So what I try to do in the evening, if I have that munchie, it doesn't always work. I'm definitely not perfect. I try to have a tea that has like some kind of flavor properties to it, herbal tea, like that has flavor properties that make me like trick my brain. Because the other thing is also water, right? So a lot of times when we're dehydrated, makes us tired. So we're talking about not being able to sleep. And the converse is like during the day, I'm sitting here 4 hours into meetings and I'm wondering why I'm drifting off, and I haven't drank anything in 4 hours, and just like chugging half a liter of water, and I'm like in 20 minutes, I'm back at it. So that's also another thing. It's like, we a lot of focus on the sleep that we get at night, but we haven't talked yet about really how that sleep happens during the day. Like, I'm a nap taker. I love my naps. And in the past couple years, I've recently said like, if I'm tired, I'm just going to drink water and I'm going to take a nap. And if I don't have anything, I don't put an alarm on. And typically in 25 minutes, like clockwork, I feel like I just fell asleep, and probably I just did. And then all of a sudden I wake up 25 minutes, like clockwork. Always, always, always. I don't have to have an alarm or anything. And then, the water's done its thing. I've had a little rest and I'm ready to go. But I do notice that affects when I fall asleep at night. as well. Like, I feel like I need it during the day, and then I'm like, it makes me not tired when I'm ready to fall asleep.
That's interesting because in 25 minutes you don't get into, so it's a power nap, right? You always hear about the power naps, like 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And in 25 minutes you don't get into the REM stage. So that's actually a perfect, as far as I know, perfect kind of like length of time to take a nap. But it's funny that you mentioned that because I'm the worst napper. The worst, but like I wake up like a raging bitch. It does exactly the opposite for me. I don't get re-energized. I'm like, I hate the world. Step away from me. And I'm not, if and when I nap, which is probably once a year when I'm just so exhausted that I just fall asleep, I'll have the worst quality sleep. I will sleep for 2 hours, but constantly interrupted, and I'll wake up like so angry. I'm like, do not speak to me right now. It's terrible. It's funny because then you get a proper nap, like a power nap, but you do realize that it didn't necessarily help in the long run when it comes to going to bed.
I've been framing my naps as kind of resets in the day. So kind of like a reboot of my computer. So nowadays I nap when I'm feeling overwhelmed. Like I'm like, oh, I've got so many things to do. Maybe some people would call it a procrastinap because I'm like, okay, I need to step away from the computer. And often what happens, you know what we were talking about before about the like all the things spinning in your head, you can't fall asleep. So that happens when I go to take a nap, but I'm like using the mindful meditation techniques that I've learned over the last couple of years to just kind of like let it run and then do my deep breathing and take a nap. And I feel somehow like I've rebooted my central nervous system. When I wake up again, it's like, oh, now it's clear what I need to do and I can go forth and do that. So, but yes, in the evening, I tend to feel like somehow that gives me a little bit more power because I've rebooted somehow. And I feel like it like restarts my day at 2 p.m., you know, and now I can go until 12. I still get tired. I think it's not always happening that way, but what helps as well is exercise. So I'm curious, do you notice a difference when you exercise? And if you exercise in the morning or the evening or the afternoon, how does that affect your sleep?
Yeah, that's a perfect topic. Exercising closer to bedtime is definitely, again, shooting yourself in the leg. So beyond 6 o'clock in the evening, I probably wouldn't even dare to exercise because I know that it kind of gets, it gets the blood flowing, it gets the heart going, and then it's so much harder to unwind. But I definitely do notice that on days when I'm moving more and I'm exercising and we're out and about hiking or playing basketball or like in the sun, that I sleep a lot better, it's easier for me to fall asleep and I get a good quality sleep and sometimes even sleep longer. I'm like you, I wake up at 5:40 every single morning and the alarm goes off at 6 something, but I'm up before the alarm. I hate it. I have a love-hate relationship with that as well. But yeah, I feel that exercising is definitely helpful to an extent where if it's after a certain hour, I might as well not do it or rather do like something more relaxing like yoga, which is still working the muscles, which is still stretching, but it's not necessarily putting me at this, kind of like heart racing, blood pumping type of exercise.
Yeah, something like a yin yoga where you just kind of hold some nice long stretches. Yeah, I noticed definitely that when I don't, and again, data, I have all my data. So I notice when I do 5,000 steps or less that my body does not work off the energy that I have consumed, right? Like I consume the normal amount of energy and I haven't moved very much. Then I find that I stay up later, even if I'm like falling asleep on the couch, but I'm still like, I'm just not ready to go to sleep. Where in the mornings where I get up and I go and I do like a weight-based training workout or a HIIT or I do a run like first thing in the morning, which always sets me up for a really good day, that by 9 o'clock at night, I'm just like, oh, I am really done and I really want to sleep now. And it's like, I don't care about anything else. I just want to go to sleep. And I feel like that also helps with the mental thing. Because when you physically exhaust your body, that's when you sleep the best. That's why, like, when you're outside and doing all this stuff outside in the sun, you don't realize how much more you're exhausting your body just by doing anything outside your house, right? And I feel like that anytime I do anything in nature during the day is always a better sleep for me at night.
That brings me to a question. Do you have a bedtime routine?
Oh yeah. So I'm always changing these things. I'm always trying new things and doing things differently. So let's say I have things that I typically do in the morning or in the evening. Okay, so my ideal bedtime routine is that I make a cup of tea while the tea is brewing. I clean up the kitchen. I'm reframing things. Instead of calling it cleaning, I'm calling it resetting. So I reset the kitchen, I reset my office, and then if I'm thinking ahead, I put out workout clothes in the morning. So when I, get up, then I'm immediately just putting on those clothes, which helps, right? But I'm a TV watcher. I watch TV in the evening, and a lot of times I watch TV and then I'm tired. I turn the TV off, brush my teeth, and I go to bed. Unfortunately, and it's, let's say I don't hate it, but I also know it's probably, I feel like somehow again mad at myself, like, oh, for that 2 hours I could have been doing something else. But on the other hand, I really liked and enjoyed what I just did. I enjoyed the show. It wasn't like I just sat there and watched TikTok for, or TikTok on YouTube, where there's no added value. So I would love to say that I do, but I really don't have a good routine. No.
I think it's a good routine. I'm the same. Again, with kids, it's a little different because there's a lot of anger involved in the bedtime routine because you're like, go the fuck to sleep. So then you literally need that time of like staring at a screen and drooling, like not letting your brain think too much and not, it's just an overload. At the end of the day, you've been thinking and you've been making decisions and you've been creating things the whole entire freaking day. And so you need that time. I feel like for me, that's a really good time to unwind, is really to, and for me, I need my husband there. I need my husband to sit there with me. I'm like, let's stop staring at different screens and together holding hands, stare at the same screen.
Yes.
Right?
My husband still will sit there, stare at the same screen with me, but then he'll be scrolling through Facebook, and I'm just like, put it down and do this screen with me. Yes, exactly. I'm exactly the same way. But I think it's also, I like the way you were saying this, like your brain just needs to shut off. And actually, a lot of people are like, oh, I like to read before bed, and I like to do, journal before bed. And for me, it's really difficult unless I have a lot of stuff that I really want to get out of my brain. But typically I'm doing that before. I'm doing that at the end of my work day, right? At the end of my work day, I'm going, okay, what do I need to think about? Blah, blah, blah. And then in the evening, I'm just like a vegetable in a good way in front of the TV. Right now we're watching Bones again, like the third time, which we love. But the point is like, I feel like it completely empties my brain is like, so then all I have to do is turn off the TV and go to bed. Like there's nothing here to be like, there's nothing moving around up there. It's all been completely wiped out by the wonderful TV show that I just watched with, Yeah.
I mean, I'm the same. I think that, I don't know, at the end of the day, I think as long as you have some sort of loving routine, meaning I know that I need to watch TV for myself, for my sanity, for shutting down, for spending quality time in quotations with my husband, because nowadays it is what it is. And, and then I do go to bed and listen to meditation to help me fall asleep. So as I said, my phone is on airplane mode and outside of the bedroom, and I have my Bluetooth headphones, and I'll just kind of like fall asleep to this meditation. And eventually at some point at night, I don't even know when I do it, I'll just like pull them out of my ears and put them away. I think that kind of works for me at the moment, but I definitely I have like periods of time. So kind of like what you said, I have periods of time in my life where I'd be just hooked on reading like crazy, and I won't be able to fall asleep without reading. And so I'll just have a book and I'll just read, and I'll even read just one paragraph and fall asleep, but it's still like the ritual. And sometimes I'm like, no, forget it. I can't read anything. I'll just listen to my meditation. I think it's important, and this is, again, something that we always probably will echo throughout, is that bioindividuality. So it works. There's no one way to do anything. Find a way that works for you, where you notice that you have a good quality of sleep, that you go to sleep at a normal hour. The more hours you get before midnight, the better quality you're going to get. And make sure that you're actually, I love the fact that we're waking up without an alarm clock. That means that our body knows when it needs to wake up, and the circadian rhythms is, it is working the way that it needs to work. And so that's something to really kind of strive for. It's not, I'm not telling people who go to sleep at midnight, start going to sleep at 9. Shift your bedtime by 15 minutes, by half an hour, just try to notice what difference that makes. And leave the phone out and see if that makes a difference as well.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go next, was really like, what are the takeaways for listeners? Because I feel like, we've been talking a lot and sharing our experiences. And you were just talking about bioindividuality. And I know some people who really enjoy staying up super late on weekends, sleeping in super late on a weekend, and then they get up and they do it all over again. And every literature tells you that you should have the same bedtime, the same wake up time every day, regardless if it's like 2 a.m. to 10 a.m., right? But that to keep the same rhythm, right? And then, so I feel like it's kind of like the have your cake, like what the decisions you're making. It's like the decision to eat pizza versus something, a little bit more healthy for you. It's okay, I'm going to stay up late. I'm going to go past my point of no return and get my second wind. And then I'm going to stay up till 2 a.m. because it's Friday night. And that's what I want to do. And that means I'm going to sleep in till 10 a.m. And that's the way it is. So it's, I hesitate to tell people to do anything, but I feel like if people are unhappy with their sleep, then there are things you can do, right? And I think that it all comes back to awareness. It all comes back to noticing what's going on with your body, and when you do something, what's the effect, right? So if that's basically all we've been doing, is saying, oh, I noticed this. When I do that, this is what happens, right? And I feel like that's where people need to start from, to say, I feel tired. What did I do the night before? What did I do the day before? Right? And if they want to improve their sleep, that's where you need to start. Don't think, am I a morning person or a night person or this or that? You just have to start noticing things and, making some little notes if you're a note taker. But for some people, they just don't give a shit. They're fine. They don't have any problems. I tell you what, it drives me mad when my husband, I love him so, so much. He is a coffee drinker. He's one of those people that will have an espresso right before bed, or beer right before bed, right? Like, and the very rare time that I wake up in the middle of the night and he's over there on his phone in the middle of the night with a screen on his face, and I'm like, you are doing everything wrong that everybody says you shouldn't do. And he's like, yeah, but I'm fine. I don't feel tired during the day. Like that is the epitome of bioindividuality, because he's literally doing everything wrong that you shouldn't be doing to get good sleep. But then he's like, but I'm not tired. So why should I change my habits? Why should I change this? And he's right? It's only when you really feel the need to dig and dive into it, to start just noticing what's going on.
I definitely agree with that, but I have to have another disclaimer. I think that a lot of people don't link certain things with other things. And that's where sometimes health issues kind of go down the drain, and weight issues and all of that stuff, because, you know, people come up to me and they're like, look, I need to lose 20 kilos. And then again, the first question I usually ask is about sleep and stress. And then when I realize that they're getting like 4 interrupted hours of sleep, I know where the problem lies. So of course it could be now like a bigger problem, right? But at the end of the day, every one of them sees a difference when they finally kind of tackle their sleep. And I have to say this, I used to think that I was a night animal. So the funny thing is that I would always wake up relatively early. I was this annoying friend who you'd go out with on Friday night, party all night. And then 8:00 in the morning on Saturday, I'm like, hey guys, do you want to go play basketball? And they're like, fuck you, I just want to sleep. We came back home like 3 hours ago. What is wrong with you? So, you know, I was always that person. I never, like when I was a baby, I didn't sleep. So it was a very long time coming. But at the end of the day, I was always sure that I was a night animal. But I also noticed that I had that second wind and I was riding that wave, and I would work. I wouldn't have started a business if I didn't work until 2:00 in the morning every morning, you know, businesses actually. So when I noticed how much more productive I was, when I did adjust things and then let my body kind of like lead the way, then I felt, you know, now forget it. If I'm up past 10:30, when I'm a rebel, I go to sleep at 11. That's like rebel.
Yeah.
You know, but I suffer. Like I feel it because I still wake up at 5:40 because my body's like, nope, time to wake up. And then I don't. And then I just feel like shit the entire day. I feel hungover, you know? So again, it's not only looking at, are you tired? Are you not? But also emotional eating and just your patterns of eating and what you're navigating towards. It's health issues. It's stress. It's like everything that kind of comes together. And if you kind of understand that and you're like, look, I'm happy with my life. Like I don't feel any problem whatsoever. I'm not stressed. I don't have any issues with eating. I don't have any health issues. Dude, party on. Like go on and do whatever you want to do. You know, I'm jealous. We're all jealous. But if you are experiencing certain things, which I assume you are if you're a listener, because you are more interested in health and therefore you do have something that you want to kind of tackle, then do just keep that in mind. Just keep it in mind. I'm not saying like change your whole life about it, but doing those little experiments, like you said, Megan, like trying different things, trying to notice if that makes a difference or this makes a difference. I think that's where the secret lies, is just giving it a try, seeing how it works. And when I say give it a try, don't give it a try one night and go like, nope, didn't work. You want to do it for 3 to 5 nights, 2 weeks. You know, 1 week I always say is like a nice experiment, but you can kind of give it a try and then decide for yourself.
I like the month because of the whole cycle of the moon, right? Because the moon does make a difference on your sleep, as you were saying, or also for women who have hormonal cycles. And I feel like if you give something, like if you change one thing and do that one thing for a month, and then you can evaluate your sleep at the end of that month. We didn't talk much about like environment when we're sleeping, but like for example, I have 2 pillows and one pillow is really flat, and I try to like put my shoulders on it and get to the point where my head and my neck is more in a line where I'm not like crunching up my neck and causing more wind problems and snoring problems. Insert snoring sound here. So, I have that pillow. Then I have another pillow that's like super strong. Like it's like got some, and it's really like meant to like cradle my neck. And, my husband's like, well, if you use this pillow and you sleep on your side, that's when you're quietest, right? So that's the level of like experimenting I do. Also like experimenting with my blanket. So I sleep in the buff. And sometimes I notice that even though I feel warm when I'm going to sleep, because of the sheets, because we use duvets, of course, so we it's the same, like a sheet feeling. sometimes in the middle of the night, it's like, I don't feel as cozy. So I got a new blanket for Christmas that's kind of got that Sherpa lining on it. So it like has this feeling that it could still be naked, but I feel like warmer even if I'm not actually warmer because the temperature of the blanket's the same. It's like the carpet wood floor effect on bare feet, right? Or cracking your window open at night, we like, okay, I'm just going to crack it a little bit. Then you've got to battle the outside sounds versus that nice little fresh, crisp air coming in that also helps me sleep. There are just so many different variables when it comes to sleeping that we didn't touch on. And I think those are definitely like the easiest things to identify. I mean, the common, the common knowledge or the common recommendations are like a completely black room and make it cooler, or like take a hot shower before and then get into bed so your body cools down, and all of those things really work. But like for me, a blackout room, not such a big deal. Whether it's blacked out or not, I have noticed no difference. So all of these little things added up together, you can just experiment with these, spring, summer, fall, winter, that, you're also going to sleep differently in the winter than you do in the summer and stuff like that.
No, that's true. I got this and my kids got this from my mom. It's really, really creepy, but we sleep with our eyes slightly open. Super creepy. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was a kid, my mom would take naps her whole entire life. She would take every single day, royally, like just would not give it up. She's like, I'm going to take my nap now. And once I was still an only child and we were in the ground floor, and it's Israel. So the windows are always open because it's hot and you want the breeze. And a cat probably jumped into the kitchen and like dropped some stuff and made noise. And I was like, oh crap. And I ran into my mom's room because I was freaked out. And then I see my mom sleeping like this with her eyes open. And I didn't know if I need to run to this like probably stranger evil person that came through the window in the kitchen, or stay with my mom who's freaking me the fuck out now with her eyes open. But this whole story to say that I need pitch dark, pitch black. Oh. Because I think I sleep with the eyes open, I really notice when there's a tiny bit of light. And so I know if someone didn't leave the door fully closed or something, whatever it may be, like I need it to be completely pitch dark. I need it to be like completely silent. And then I'm okay. And if it's not, I'm like, you don't want to mess with me, guy, today because you left the door open. It's all your fault that I'm angry today, But you're right, again, like there are definitely like I know people who, especially in Switzerland, they say like, you have to crack your window open. It's like minus 25 degrees out. And they're like, window open. And I'm like, I cannot sleep because I feel like I'm freezing. But at the same time, you're right. Like when it's nice, when it's like optimal temperature, it's the best feeling in the world to go to sleep like with this kind of crisp, fresh air. It's like being in a jacuzzi with the head out, like being outside. It's like the fresh air, but then the body is nice and cozy. I actually have a weighted blanket and I'm obsessed with it.
I have not tried one of these yet, but I get that sensation when I double my blanket up. When I have my Sherpa blanket and the other blanket on top, then I get that additional weight. So yeah, I get it. So I think maybe about time to ask our listeners. We're really curious. We would really love to start like reaching out and hearing from you guys. And we'd love to have you like send us a voice message about like what's the strangest thing that helps you fall asleep, or what's a gadget you use that I should try. So definitely go to Anchor FM where we have our show is hosted, and leave us a voice message there. Anything else you want to add, Danna?
No, I think we should both go take a nap now.
Oh God, I really am ready to take a nap. All right, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye, everyone.
Hey, you're still listening. Great. Okay, now I can tell you about my 12-week goal setting session. So in this 1-hour session, I'm going to help guide you through a powerful process inspired by the best-selling book, The 12-Week Year. I know. Everybody at this time of the year starts to think about year-long goals.
And I would argue that year-long goals are really hard to contextualize. What is going to be happening in a year from now? You have no idea. But 12 weeks gives you a little bit better understanding because you kind of already have your calendar booked out for the next 12 weeks, kind of know what's going to be going on. So if you can focus your goals on the next 12 weeks, you can make some really big actionable steps towards your long-term vision. So in this 1-hour session, we do talk about long-term vision. We talk about where you want to be. We talk about what your 5-year, 10-year, 3-year, all those goals are. But that's only a brief part. We know we see the long distance view, but let's break that down. And then we get into the 1 to 3 strategic 12-week goals that are going to get you to those long-term vision. Then we're going to put that into a really cool action plan with like checklists and timing and all that jazz to make sure that you are clear and that you have accountability to get those goals done. And then that's not it. Then we are going to tackle your roadblocks because you know you have roadblocks. So we're going to tackle those roadblocks. We're going to create a plan to overcome them. So you know when you start to self-sabotage, you know what you can do to get around those roadblocks. Okay, so if this is interesting for you, it is only 1 hour of your time and it's only 45 Swiss francs. I host this gig over on Fiverr, but I'm also going to put a link down in the show notes. So if you're interested, hit me up.